Hi, hello. Today we are playing Amalgamation. We're starting a 100-day challenge of this. I'm trying to get Minecraft open and get the world started loading because it takes a minute. It takes forever. I made a subpar batch of coffee, so I have my third cup of coffee for the day. Oh, cold brew. Hello, Pumpkin. How are you? But I know exactly the seed we're using because in order to get thumbnail but not already make the world, I just set the seed to 3. So we're going to use the seed 3 in the Amalgamation Modpack. So if you want to join me on the world, it will be down below. Hi, Billy Bob. Why is Lizard not? No, one labeled media. Media storage. That's not sound alert. Why did Lizard not play? I didn't hear it. I heard the fart. I didn't hear that. Alerts. Sound alerts. While I'm handling that, let me show I'm actually making the world. I'm not cheating this out. Why is it not showing? What? Show my Minecraft. Show it. Show it. Thank you. We're doing 100 days survival, and the seed is just free. And this is gonna take a minute to load. So while it does, I'm so happy that Penguin made the sand duper. Nice. I was looking at that. Is Minecraft gonna look weird for a second so the game can consider that I want it to load while I'm not actively clicked on it? Why is the lizard quiet? Why? It's at 100. Yes. Why is it quiet? Why did I not hear the first time? Okay. I don't know. But yeah, it takes a minute. I think I actually like left my room for a couple minutes when I was testing if this even worked. Because I wanted to change out how the words. I have added some mods since 1.4. This is now 1.5, and we're using this to test 1.5. We need 4,497 smooth sandstone for the policy. Gee. Yeah, that'll do it. That will certainly do it. You can move around. I think I'm gonna change chat as well. The size of chat. Change around to this. How's that? Yes, I want it to be bigger. Let's do. You think I remember this? 1280. 720, 1280. Maybe reverse those is what I want. I'm aware this is probably gonna make it. Oh, you do. Nope. There we go. That's the size I want it to be. Maybe not quite like that, but that's about what I want. Beautiful. There we go. Maybe? I need you to be like 900. There we go. That's perfect. Lovely. Did it change on the chatting screen as well? Yes, it did. Fantastic. Then I just gotta change the exact size. What it's supposed to be on this one. I don't know if we're gonna use the starting screen a lot, but hey, I have it. I need to make them universal. There you go. No, no, no. That's not where I want you in my sources. There we go. Beautiful. Okay, it's still loading. It is at 68%, at 70%. But we are playing Amalgamation. We're doing 100 days of this. I have added slight mods here and there. The only major difference between the sample, quote unquote, that I was playing last week and this is 2 more structures. There are underground villages that will happen, And there are also snow tents that will appear. And then the world generation is smoother. I wanted to use lithosphere. That's way too laggy, and I forget how flippin' huge the biomes are with that. So instead, I went with another one. I think that's called Simply Smooth or something like that. But we're gonna be my good old favorite Phantom with a warrior class. We don't care as much about Minecraft Comes Alive. I will adjust it anyway, though. For pale, very pale, slightly off. There you go. No, not that one. That one will do. Make me a little tall. Because I can. Like, I forgot I could select close. I forgot how much I love all these. There we go. Beautiful. I don't think we'll actually use that, but I don't want to start in the ancient city. I'm just gonna start above ground this time. Or I kinda wanna start in the ancient city. I'll probably find it anyway, though. So we're gonna start at what is... Oh, I stole my FOV up from taking thumbnails. And we're gonna try and burn through the starter books every 10 in-game days. That's too much information. Hold on. I think we need the information. Add information. I think it's what tells us everything we want to know. Minecraft, maybe? Oh, we already have a Minecraft. Which one tells me days? None of those. I deleted the one I needed. Which one told me the days? Entities, graphics, help. Would it be under FPS? Location, Minecraft, miscellaneous, left, right. Would it be under FPS? I doubt it. No. I don't need... I kind of care about targeted, actually. I don't care about my system. Nope. Can't. Which one was it? I just want to know. We have chunks, coordinates, and I don't craft location. Save my location up. Yes, it is location. Okay. Days played right here. So every 10 days, I'm gonna go through and we're gonna update the mods and see what we are using and what we aren't. And if there is anything I would like to add or like to get rid of. And we'll see how well we can do with all this. I just want to see the most I can really get out of this. Oh, good. The leaves are still here. Great. But Phantom, I gotta worry about burning all the effing time. So that is kind of my number one concern. Thankfully, there's stone over there. We can kind of speed run through some of this. Oh, wait. Even better. We're just gonna burn through the game. I probably should have. I always go for the axe first because it's my number one weapon to use. Gather quite a few so we can also get ourselves a furnace. I'd like the speedrun for the compass. I think it'd be cool within... Let's give myself a little leeway here and say the first 20 days we beat the Ender... I forgot about my mob level. 20 days is not enough time. I think Ender Dragon is last... Very much so last. Because it has, I think, 300 or 600 health. Something like that. It has a lot of health. It is not a normal ender dragon. The end, everything is at level 100. It starts at level 100. And I'm running out of food to actually be in this mode. So I need to get in water ASAP. Yeah, I no longer have the hunger to be in phantom mode. Ish, over there. If I don't have enough saturation, then... Turn off F3. If I don't have saturation, then I can't be in phantom mode. It's my one drawback. Oop, oop. Hello, hello. Come on. Thank you. Have I even used salmon roe for? I never, like, genuinely have used it. I got a salmon head. Lovely. I didn't pick up any coal, but I did furnace. So and make it just a wee bit better. Why did I try? I don't. Get out of here. Okay, salmon roe uses fish and chip. I would. Why would you use that and not fish? Okay. No thanks. Okay. I don't want to waste any of the food, so let's just go up to that, and that's full saturation. I wasn't in phantom mode. I'm gonna do that so much, and I just know I am. I know I saw something over here, I think, when I was... This is, like, cheaty, slightly. There's something over here when I was, on the thumbnail. Or the copy of the world making the thumbnail. Onion. Yeah, this. The watchtower. And this'll have a bed. And I need to get water. I've already forgot about tough as nails. And this has a little bit of stuff. Ooh, actually quite a bit of stuff for me. With that, I can already make an emerald bow once we get enough string to do so. I don't think that will give me enough, but maybe. We're gonna steal this, and I need to get my hands either A, on rotten flesh and smelt it for leather, or B, actually just genuinely get some leather. Honestly, half the time, being underground is a lot easier for me than anything else, so we might just go for that. And I can't see a thing. There we go. That's a water cave. Not helpful to me. That's another water. It's just water cave. There we go. That's a little bit better. We can get some fuel. I need to get my hands on cobwebs and cracked stone brick. Was there anything up above that I could have missed? That's a mausoleum. That's perfect. And I can also get rotten flesh from that. Yeah, I'm not gonna waste more time. Let's go straight up to that. I'm gonna drink some coffee along. Oh, there we go. My cup was stuck to my coaster. And Phantom also starts with less health, but thanks to our mods, we have a March called March? Yes, we have a March, apparently. We have a mod called RPG Stats. I can't sprint because of water. Yeah. We have a mod called RPG Stats, and using the normal Minecraft XP, we can upgrade my health, my speed, my damage, etc. And I'm gonna die. Because I can't get water. And it doesn't give me a way to get water. Let's at least, like, be out here to die. So I can grab my stuff pretty easy. Come on. Oh, you're just gonna set me to that. Okay. Wonderful. Did he even chomp it? Okay. You have useful... Oh, rotten flesh. Yes, 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 yes. Rotten flesh, rotten flesh. We don't care about no pickup upgrade. Oh, there's plenty of cobwebs in here. I'm not going to worry about breaking this one. Very, very slowly. Any day now. Would you please? Come on. Please. Suck. Thank you. And there's no more flesh. I kind of needed that. Well, at least I can get the cracked stone brick and cobwebs here. I can't get... I need a compass as well. So that's a bit of an issue. But I can make shears in order to get these. And let's take the rest of this into string and then some wool so we can get our hands on a backpack. Plenty, plenty. And yeah, okay. Cows. That's a good question. I've only seen sheep and chickens and pigs. Oh, sheep and pigs. I don't think I've seen chickens. Need a cow. Or even just like one zombie would do. Skelly down there, apparently. Skelly, creeper. Oh, it's right there, actually. Nope. Why? No, thank you. I need a There's a piggy over there. I need zombies. That's just creepers and skellies. I need flesh. I need raw flesh. I can't even swim. Yeah. Oh, and I'm already burning again. Lovely. This is great. This is what I love. Oh, there you go. This is what I love in my playthroughs. Jeez. Okay, now I have a little bit more time to actually sprint around and try and get some leather or rotten flesh. And this time I can actually swim! Do I have my body on? No, I did. Oh, I did. There we go. When I look down... Why am I... Oh, I'm drowning. Yeah. I'll do it. I'm doing it again. Did the exact same thing. There's llamas? Wait, llamas! Llamas! Yeah, what are you doing? Llamas! He's trying to claw his way in a box. Here, llama! Give me leather! You didn't give me anything. And I'm freezing because it's night now. Yeah. Oh. That'll work. And then yeah, let's mold. Have my coal. Okay, I don't need to wear my own head. Okay. Gotta be careful. Do this. Oh, it even says what level I died from. That's great. That's a lovely change. What? Okay. Oh, that's what's on. Okay. Get rid of my death. Get rid of my death. My I've already done it again. Lovely. Okay. And then next thing on the list is, well, we need a couple cans. I'm starting to feel like the toughest nails really isn't worth having. Because it just makes... There's one pipe. Billy Bob, if you type exclamation pipe, he'll start counting it. So we can actually keep track in stream. No! No. Lovely. Food. And leather. For more. Do what? Exclamation pipe. It'll start counting. We've had one pipe in stream. My computer is very upset at me doing all this. Probably because I think I still have... Yes, I still have that open. And I don't really need that open. And now it's the bare necessities. So hopefully that runs a little bit better. Because I don't know if it's appearing in my audio. Yeah, I have it to the 8 chunks. I have it to the 8 chunks I always do. I don't know. Yeah. So we can... You just... anybody can type it, by the way. So you can just type that and it will start counting it. Okay, Oh. Bye-bye. Okay, bye-bye, Billy Bob. Get out. There we go. At least water is pretty safe for me to be in. If need be, I could really just carry a bucket on me. That could probably work out decently well. I want my Explorer's Compass. We haven't seen a village yet. I'm not seeing any... There's a ruined portal down there. I'm not seeing any other structures we can really use. I think we just need to go underground and try mining. And I need to be careful that I don't... This is the smallest cave I ever did. I need to be careful I don't accidentally fall down to my death. We do need iron right. Okay. And hopefully we can rank up in this pretty fast. And I want to eventually probably just make like a little hobbit house for this playthrough. We don't need anything ridiculous. I just need somewhere to keep my stuff. Let's get you smelting. 1. And then start the other one up. With a few more. Actually getting a fair amount already. I believe we could get away with full iron with what I've just gotten, almost. Or at least close to it. But we can definitely get our hands on a iron pickaxe, because we do need that. Let's take the rest of this and make a boat until I get my hands on... I would love my hands on words. It never happens, but I can hope one day. Until I get my hands on a bucket. And I do need to keep some iron to make that compass. Oh, I can make the bow. I don't have any arrows, but I can definitely use some of our stuff to make an emerald bow, which is the second best we can make. Next to netherite. It is better than diamond. Which is very much so overpowered, but that's why I love it. The entire point of this mod pack was to have the feel of playing Skyrim, and that includes the ridiculously overpowered stuff and being able to make yourself very overpowered. That is my #1 requirement for like all of this. When I'm looking at mods, I'm absolutely looking at, can I upgrade this? Can I break this? That is my #1 thing. Can I break it? in a fun way that works with the other mods we have. I don't see us using those nuggets. Trying to keep my inventory pretty threadbare. I don't see... Okay, we could actually use shears, though. Shears for wool. Okay. So there's a boss called the Void Blossom in here from Bosses of Mass Destruction. And if you see those blossoms where they shouldn't be, that means it's nearby. I was very concerned for a second there. But yeah, absolutely one of the first things that's going is tough snail. It's a cool idea, it's a cool thought to have. It doesn't really fit though. Oh, there we go. This will do. Can we find a player base? I'd love to steal a good blast. That'd be great. I'd love to get my hands on a blast burn. This cave is huge, by the way. What the hell? No diamonds, but redstone. That's what we need. Oh, nope. I do want to kill you. I would like your bag. You didn't even drop it. That sucks. Oh. Come on. Thank you. You can't cook tropical fish, but I could start eating tropical fish from here as well. Okay, I literally only need one of it. I do have one arrow, so now I can use the bow if I want. Alright. Better combat. Different combat rules. This ain't vanilla. Ooh, but I can smelt that. Stuff going on over there. That's another zombie. We can quickly make up the Explorer's Compass right now, so let's do that. And I do need to make that armor, because I didn't do it. Let's at least get that piece on. And before the zombie comes and gets me, speedrun, Explorer's Compass. I think it's stuck in the water. So we're good. Okay, I have no more food though. That is very much so. Hello. I'm pretty sure that literally only has a skeleton, but might as well check. There's a skelly behind me. This one just has a dead skeleton. I can't even heal. What? Oh, that's a dungeon. That's a dungeon up there. That is, yep. That's a Terralift biome up there as well. I just need to be careful of the stupid skells. Oh yeah, yep. I forgot that's a deep dark biome. This is a variant of deep dark. There's no shriekers. Okay, running on no food, barely any water, but honestly I can refill that one. I got 2 diamonds. I could run daggers for a little bit. I would like to get 4 more, or at least 1 more, to make a diamond claw. That has been my absolute favorite way to play. There's a mimic. Gotta be careful. Mimic's over there. There's no shriek. Handle mimic boy. Hey mimic. Hi. No. Oh, that's another. No, that's the name. Okay, I'm seeing the zombie. Come on, you have like 60 health. Just die, please. Thank you. Villager hat. Decreases trading price of village. You have coal. Could you have some? You don't. You have no. You literally have 0. Oh, there's diamonds over there. I'm pretty sure because this is technically a deep dark biome, we aren't going to see any spawns in it, though. It's sparse and few, but it is. I'm probably wasting my phantom ability just trying to get the diamonds. But I definitely think it's worth it, because we can already toss out the sword, and we're going straight for diamond claw, which basically does bleed damage. So that is always a great priority. I'm not going to worry about Lapis. We're not going to worry about that in my inventory. There's not really anywhere to go. There's somewhere up there, though. And the zombie's following me. Go, 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 go! Don't want to be down here. I need to find more water ASAP. There not be any googlies up here? Nope. Here's more water. It's dirty water, but it's better than nothing. Good start. And hopefully I can remove it pretty soon. And I don't have to worry about that stupid staff. Okay, anything useful? At least if I die down here, we have the player camp to base back though. Also, I couldn't figure this out ages ago. I did a Phantom versus a Elytrian run, and I couldn't figure out where in the world I got some cobwebs. A creeper blew up one of these, and they dropped cobwebs. And I just so happened to get the perfect 4 I needed. So, a little bit of luck and just being in the right place at the right time. What is over there? That's zombie. Oh, and I'm on 2 hearts. Great. Lovely. I think that's when we need to start eating the raw flesh. I could have used it to make another canteen, but we're doing pretty well on water so far, and I need the health more than it. Wait, glow squids. There's glow squids over here. They drop calamari. I'm pretty sure I can cook that. Yeah, it's a little bit of food. Okay. So we can live off the glow squid. Come on. Die. There we go. And then I can focus on the squids. And get all the calamari. Thank you. Run over here. Place. Cook. Yes! Okay, I should have remembered that. But I didn't. So it's fine. It's fine. Not just says water. It doesn't say dirty water canteen. It's just water. Okay, noted. Come on. Cooked calamari. Come on. Why is cooked calamari good? Why is that genuinely good food? That's kind of interesting. I actually didn't know that. That's great. And we have my 2 rotten flesh back. And it's coming up, Milhouse. Only we could get more not calamari. If we could get more, well, I do want that. If we get more glow squids to spawn, so I can have calamari. That's another zomboy. I want squids. Pretty boy. Good words. Please. Seeing a lot of things spawning. What are you? Why is there a scorpion? Is that just like a small chant thing? What do you mean? That's not okay. I'm not gonna refill my health because of stupid water. And now I finally got dirty water again. Lovely. Okay, there's Enderman. Oh. Okay. Oh, full hunger. There we go. Full hunger, full water. At least heal up before we get... Oh wait, I should do that. There we go. There's a mimic up ahead. There's a mimic up ahead. What? It's like right above me. Yeah, it's up there. Okay, we're going up there then. I wish there were more diamonds down here. I'm not seeing any. I just want to check out where this mimic is. There he is. Hi, buddy. Ah, boing, boing, boing. I said boing. You're not a mimic. You're not a mimic. Okay. I'll take a golden apple. Yes, please. And leather. And let's skip another night. I'm hoping we can maybe change about mods twice tonight. How far ahead are we? We've played 2 days. Okay, maybe once then. Cool stuff, bro. Don't kind of care. Oh yeah, I get regens at campfires. I forgot that's a mod. Let's take some of this and start making wool as well. I have 1 calamari that I kind of need to eat, and now I have an empty canteen. This mimic, it's right here. I was about to say it better be close by. Come on. Come on. Just do it. Just do it. Just do it. Thank you. Oh! Increases the wearer's health. This is really good. Okay, okay. Where? Right, I forgot. We have a lot of different stuff. We get a little health, and it increases our health by quite a lot. Or little health, little heart. And okay, that wasn't. Oh wait, is beef perfectly safe to do? There we go. Perfect. Refill. And of course, dirty water immediately. Okay, diamonds. Diamonds. Please. I just want another claw. You can dual wield them. It's great. It's so much fun. Ooh, hey. Free experience. Brought flesh to smelt and food. How's a spider spawner? Fine. You'll do, I guess. I'll pick coal. I just need the experience. You give me food? No. Fire aspect and impair. I'll take the string. String's actually useful. Turn all of this actually to wool. And then break one. I need a sword for that. I'll just have to kill a spider for it. I'm so paranoid every single time I see Blossom. Because of the stupid Void Blossom now. There we go. One more. Perfect. Come on. I have enough. Yes, I got enough. Perfect. Just enough hunger. Okay. And then we can finally dual wield our claws. And once I start upgrading attack speed, I'm good. I'm set. I'm done. That is a mine shaft. Absolutely, 100% a mine shaft. Maybe I can find food there? I should probably start gathering iron. And or diamonds. Because I still don't have pants or boots. That's a creeper. No, thank you. Thank you. And I'm out of hunger. I'm out of saturation. I just burned the last bit. There's squiddies! There's glow squids! Where are you? Oh, it's above. Oh wait, that must be a water cake. And you are not. It's an enchanted golden apple, but it's not food. It is booties though. Booties. Food. 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 Eat the cake. Eat the cake. And the rabbit stew. We'll save rabbit stew for important occasions. There we go. All the cake. Yes. Yes. Full hunger. Finally. Been so long since the last I've seen my food. There's a thing over there. Probably part of the mine. Diamonds! Wait, hold on. This is a good thing about being a phantom. I can easily mine this. Oh, hello! You're a big boy. You're not a normal diamond. You're an 8. Oh, yes, please. Oh, lovely. And there's my glow squids for my food. Punk, 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 punk. Lovely. Give me the calamari. Oh, everything's coming up, Milhouse. What are you? What is you? Rascal. I'm gonna be so honest, I have no idea what you're supposed to do. Can you make that noise? What is that noise? Ow, ow. You are adorable, my friend. That sounded like a I know. What does the rascal do? What does it do? Minecraft Wrath. I have no, like, if it's not in the game, even if it's in the game sometimes, I don't know. But rascal, proposed mob, different tough golem, hints to help search. The rascal would have given the player hints to help search for it, and would have also given the player an item if it was found 3 times. Once the rascal has given the player an item, it would have teleported away. Okay. Do I have to like tag it? It's taunting, but it doesn't. I found you. Okay. Water cave. Oh, there's my lovely glow squid, Demi Calamari. Thank you, and into the mine shaft. Now we can start smelting. Oh. Start smelting stuff again. Ooh, we are so taking this coal afterwards. What is that? Is that what I think it is? Yes, it is. Come over here, and very, very. I will not be dealing with these guys at all. Beautiful. Okay. Lovely. Backpack! Copper backpack! Oh, wait. If that's a copper backpack, I only need 4 iron to upgrade it. There we go. Iron backpack. That is not bad at all. Bread? Coal? I never use torches. I never do. Gold and diamond. And I don't know if I need a name tag for anything, so we're not gonna do it. Not gonna bother. And iron backpack looks like that, so that's a great start. Start throwing some stuff up here. We have 9 diamonds to work with. I'm gonna throw the rabbit stew up here as well. How about we do this, and then we can throw good stuff in. I don't need the glow stars. Okay. Iron, calamari. Oh, wait. Squids. Where's the It's a whole water cave. Oh, this is just perfect. Let me move bread down. Come here. Oh. I do have to worry about eating. Or breathing. Eating and breathing. Here. There's a dolphin? I assume that's what that icon is. Oh, it's up above. We're probably underneath the ocean. Give me my calamari. Oh. Need air first. There we go. Give me that. Yeah. I'm probably gonna throw it away in a second, but whatever. Oh. Can't see a thing. Can't see a thing. Where did I come from? Somewhere around here? That's not the right one, but it probably also has coal. 1 piece. 4 pieces. And I am low on water. Where? There's a mimic below me. Well, I assume we're the opposite direction, probably. I'm gonna... That. More coal. The golden apple. I apparently got that at some point. I'm almost tempted to make like a squid farm for food. Not you. Come on. I need to find where my stuff was. Not that one. Somewhere back here. No, not you. Are it? You are it. Perfect. Okay. Lovely. And then chug down on water. And then I got cooked calamari to munch on for a wee bit. There we go. I'm gonna steal all of this. There we go. And what do we can always come back over to that's a bee cave. This is a beautiful cave system, but that's a perfectly round room. That's probably a structure. I know that's a waystone. You look like a player base right there. You're also a player base. That's a thing over there that will actually probably have some good stuff. I know there's a mimics for closer to the end of this tunnel. It's not the way I need to go, but I'd like to hit that mimic, see if it does anything good. It was this end, right? Oh, the mimic's below us. Okay. And then there's a rascal. Rascal's over here. I don't know if it's the same one from earlier or not. And then mimic down over here somewhere. I'd be careful moving down. Yeah, exactly. Because of things like this. There we go. And it has a blast furnace. Die, mimic scum. Die. What did you drop? Improves agility in water. You know what? Sure. They look ridiculous. I'm turning that off. You have nothing in it, but I will hit it and sleep the night away, apparently. Cool. That's it. That's really it. We're 3 days in now. There's another mimic over. I want to hit all the mimics I possibly can. About this level ahead of us? Right here. Okay. Hi, buddy. Why were you moving? You're not supposed to spawn there. What are you doing? you doing, you silly goose? Ooh. I haven't gotten this one yet. Pocket piston increases knockback dealt by wearer. It's literally a piston on my hand. It's literally just a piston on my hand. It's just a piston. I'm not sure what I expected, but that's funny. This one's kitted out. Yes. Yes, please. Oh my god, yes, please. Yes, I did steal the blast gun. Okay, I'm not sure if I fixed this yet. Let's test for a second. Did I fix this? Yes, I did. Okay. So I can burn these with a blast furnace, and it's gonna be so much faster than anything else. And honestly, from being on Passion SMP, it is way faster to blast the raw blocks of iron than it is to just blast the 9 items, or smelt the 9 items otherwise. So yes, absolutely doing this quick. And give me all the blocks. Oh, and XP. Upgrade health. We're now at 30. Put damage up. Do those real quick. Okay. Cool. And then refill in water. Where am I now? Okay. So we want to go southeast, if I remember my directions correctly. Getting so many materials so fast. Fantastic. Upgrade. More damage. Ah. Too many keybinds. Too many. Yeah. Throw on another piece of wool. Why not? Yeah. I don't use a brewing stance, I'm not gonna take that. And I don't cook specifically food often enough to warrant smoker. Yeah, okay. Hopefully we can hit that mine shaft or a water cave along the way out there. What is it? Is this some guy with that? There we go. Refill campaign. And continue along roughly. Woohoo! Pretty cool. Okay. That's pretty cool. We don't actually care about this. We want to keep on moving. Yeah, all the way down to this. Wherever that is. And whatever that is. I have a feeling I know what it is. There's like an underground mining thing is the best possible. Mine. Yep. I think I'm at... Yeah, I'm at the wrong level. I can't tell if it's lower or higher. It's higher. Okay, it's higher. It's right above me. No? That's just a little... Where... oh. You weren't expecting to see, Belle. All me. Take water bucket. Yes. Else. And what up? Oh, I'm in the wrong spot, that's why. Oop, I clicked the wrong button. It's over here. Where? I'm above it now. Okay, there we go. Oh! You are not what I was expecting. I am not the... I'm kind of upset. I'm upset now. I'll take this, but I'm not happy about it. rid of my axe and we'll switch it to a iron one. And I just realized I have the diamonds to do so. Let's make myself a diamond plate. Use diamond. And yeah, pants. And boop. And oh, hello. Yes, please. Diamonds for me. Any more? Huh? But nope. This is why you check. This is why you always check. And throw that here. And memory, like always. Well, change that slightly. And that. Okay, perfect. Perfect. Where did I want to go from here? I wanted to hit one of these, so let's slightly change course. I think there's like something or other over here. This way. There's another waystone. There you are. Lovely. You're close enough to the other one. I'd much rather... Oop. I'd much rather just steal this for myself. So I can place it wherever I want. I need like most of this. There we go. Tick. And start eating on bread. Grab this. And craft more bread. And there's something down. That's another waste. Not really anything else I feel like visiting strictly underground. Oh wait, right, there was player bases. That's what I was trying to visit. Was it chunk down or chunk above? Okay, so we wanted to go over here. So we need to head. I'm now too far down. And I need to refill the canteen. I need water. No water. I'm here. Okay. And of course, I've drank dirty water, so I got thirsty again. Water. Thank you. And let's strafe southeast. We can hit the waystone. Right. Right here. There we go. Took a minute. Move all that around. Water bucket. Give me this. Thank you. And then we hit that and that over there. And there's something even higher up. That was interesting. Cave. This is connected to the thing we want to go, but we want to hit the waystone first. Where is it? Oh, it's above. Above. Grid. Iron. Feather falling, don't care. We'll take the rotten flesh though. Golden apple, yes. And I'm gonna stop grabbing rotten flesh because I have way too much. Okay, what is going on over here? Why is that? Oh. Well, I lost a piece of bread. What? It just happens to be a perfectly round room. That's great. What? We're going over there. I'm checking out that one first. We're going over there. Because what is that? I'm gonna move very far down before we even dare get close. So, we're going directly east. Look right here. What? Oh, down. And it's the same place again. Lots of iron. Lovely. Aqua affinity. You actually are better than what I got. Let's turn those into blocks. When I get a moment, I can sit down and smelt. And there's a mimic above, but I think the safest way for me to go towards this is to specifically go to this block right here. Because that looks like a mine. The mimic above. I'm gonna get the mimic. I care about the mimics a lot more than anything else, and I probably shouldn't. You know what? Yep. Ooh, wait. This connected us to the cave I want to go to. Ooh. I need to stop grabbing rotten flesh. I need to stop grabbing it. Okay, so what is going on? Are you the... Oh, you're the mimic. Thank you. Increases movement speed and step height while sprinting. Running shoes. I'll take it. Whoop. Ooh, ores. Ores. Oh, that is way better. Yes. That is very helpful. Oh, I'm low on water. They're up higher than I want to be, but I don't think that's... What the? Where did that gravel come from and why? So, the witch definitely sees me. We're just gonna ignore it. Okay, what is... Ooh, yeah, it's exactly what I thought it was. Mine shaft over a lava pool. Or would that be more of a lava lake? Oh my god, this is so much faster than I anticipated. What the hell? I'm not sure if I can handle this. This is insane. And then water bucket to connect these up, please. Thank you. Okay. Drop off that. And while I explore these, let's smelt, shall we? Go get that one going. And get one going. And there's not really a lot to explore. Everything I can just easily see. Do not care. There's a barrel. That's what I was expecting earlier. That's the one I thought it was going to be. You are so very much slow compared to over here. Goodbye. Oop. Affinity, don't care. I'm not seeing any chests over there. That. That and that. Oop. And then we can go check that one out. See if I can grab any dime. Oh, there's two of them. That's great. See if there's any diamonds down here. And then go from there. Also, small note, because this is annoying the hell out of me. And this is even like a stream thing. This is a me thing. My glasses, I like them like a little lower on my face. And so they'll I won't always put them on at just the right height that they don't fall farther. Did I hear a rat? Yeah, that is a rascal. What? No, it was... Hello. This is the third time I found you, according to Wiki. That's how this works. No? Okay. Did I still want string out? Okay, these shoes. They're great. They're too much. Too much. Oop. Barely. I don't think I've actually seen this one. This isn't... What? How am I finding all the new ones this time? Might power... Don't care... This... No. I do... Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Thank you. Appreciate it. Oh, you have a front door. Okay. Okay. Hey, Waystone. Oh, that's an Enderman. Good thing I didn't look directly at it. I'm not seeing any diamonds, really. I might as well try and head to the surface. I got a little bit of stuff to get my way going. I think we head to the stronghold. How far away is that? It's gonna take a minute to search. It usually does. Oh, right, it's not gonna let me do much of anything while it's searching. Oh, what day are we on? We're on 3 still. I could probably see, but... You done? Yes. 15,000 that one. So let's actually just teleport to that other one then. And now we're closer to over here, we're just closer to the dungeon up there. I kind of want to hit the dungeon. Set myself a nice spawn point outside of it. So we can get some petty XP. Like, if I set a spawn point here, we should be pretty good. Okay. Oh, right. It's not low hunger, it's low water. I can't wait to get rid of this mod. I can't wait. I can't go through city and go through the rest. This is completely ruins. This is the kind of cave that sucks for the Phantom build. Come on. Buddy, come over here. Please. Because I can barely attack this guy. And I have to be very careful of everything below me. What? How did I get... Okay. Why am I getting slowness? I don't know where that's coming from. What can I upgrade? Attack speed. And then my speed. I get slowness every time I attack them. He dropped a helmet! He dropped a diamond helmet at that! Okay, it's almost broken, but... Diamond helmet. And... Scry... Oh. Let me up, let me up. Slowly. Surely. Okay. And yes, there's them. Probably. Okay. Enderfair? I know there's some mod or another that added more enchantments. I can't remember for the life of me what one it was. We're gonna slowly go through these carefully, so I'm not wasting XP here. And then upgrade that. Perfect. Okay. I do not trust myself with a lot of this. Up here, I can actually handle. Iron, please. Ooh. They're not good booties, but they are diamond booties. I'm usually complaining I can't make leads, so let's collect some slime balls in case I do want to. Let's. I can probably. Oh yeah, these are like level. These are level 0 still. Usually when I'm encountering this dungeon, it's already like level 10 or. Ooh. That's a pretty shield. Still. Stupid water. Okay, what's spawning you? Are you just... No, you're not naturally spawning. That's what I thought. And we'll keep... And I think this is a good enough place to pop a waystone down and just a dungeon. Because this is something I can run back to a lot. Well, you're just ender... Oh, you just spawn Enderman. Okay. I probably should have kept that. That actually could have been real. What are you? It's a wither skeleton spawner. Oh my god, you guys are great XP. Okay, we are staying right here. Maybe. Oh. Too bad where the skeletons are too high to escape that. That really sucks, right? There we go. This is a better spot. Honestly, I can't. As long as too many don't spawn, I can handle most of them. I just need to be good about actually getting through it fast enough that I don't let them. Ooh, pretty, pretty, pretty. You know what? We have the space. I can do lap now. And that's a fail. Ah, that was an Enderman one again. That I really should have kept. Oh, well. I'm pretty sure we have my favorite stronghold again, which is why it's so far out. So it should have ender pearls as part of its loot. Oh, it's flow water again. That is an enderman spawner. Yes? Yes, it is. Okay. I can't mark it. I can't see exactly where it is on the map. An energetic beverage. I'm gonna assume that's a speed. Fun in all ender boys. I think I got everything around them. Oh, it's an empty can. Okay. Ooh. Hello, sir. Why do I keep getting slowness when I attack? Oh. Ooh, you guys look so cool with my texture back. Also, I don't think I'm meant to see you guys, but I can. Okay, sorry, Ender Boys. I do need a refill on water. I'm sorry. Just teleport away. I need water. And there it goes. Ready water again. Boop, 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 boop. Boop, 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 boop. I think I need to upgrade speed. And then I can... Oh. Hello. Yeah, you guys are great for my... It's not every time. I don't know why I keep getting slowness. I really don't. Oh, I love the bleed damage. Ooh. Help. Nope. Oh, jeez. Let me come down. Oh. Well, that's an interesting thing to intersect this. I just wanted water. Y'all got water? You got water. Okay, lovely. What do you mean? I just want water, man. Water. And that's the last of that food. Lovely. I can make a little bit more, but that's the last of most of my food. But I think we do need to go above ground now. Ooh, better. Ooh, better helmet. So much better. Yeah, it's just... Okay. You know what? I'll keep going. Just... We're getting low on water again, so up above we go. This is not the way I need to be. Not the way I need to be either. Nope. Here. There we go. So, I need to get my butt above. What day are we on? We are officially on 4. Apparently I just didn't sleep through the night. Readjust my hair. Okay. Up there somewhere is the staircase that goes above. Let's... I'm too speedy. I'm just... This. Ooh, creeper spawner. Probably. Come on. I'm aware this is draining my saturation as well. I'm gonna get what petty XP I can. Even turning away all of my food. Okay. Now it's just measly 5 weeks. There we go. Come in and destroy that. Take... You know what? I have wait. Wait. Hold on. That is what this is for. That is what the backpack is for. Don't want gunpowder. You can take a singular piece of that. Ooh, we've had a bunch of Mooglies spawning in here. Oh, does it give me slowness when I try and attack too far away? Because that seems to be a common denominator. Maybe. Probably not. And I'm not healing because I don't have water. Oh, that's where you're spawning. Lovely. And then get rid of all that. And add to health, damage, knockback. We can do more of this later. I need to now get through this level. Nope. Steal that. Happily. Food. Okay, maybe we don't need to go. Maybe we don't need to go. No. 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 Yeah, I don't... Yeah, never mind. I don't know why. I don't know why. I don't know what that lever does. Oh, it just turns on. Light. Get rid, get rid. Nope, 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 nope. I'm hitting you with my bow and not my claws. Nope. Nope. Nope, 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 nope. Goodbye. Why a cauldron? Out of everything I've seen in a chest, that is definitely one of the weirder ones. Nope. Refill on food, refill on water, and there was water in that main room as well. I already checked that. Now I'm gonna run. No! I said no! I'm hitting you the wrong thing again. And more pearls. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Lovely, lovely. And a... Oh! Full star. Oop. I know it. Okay. Oh! That's cropped open stuff. I assume it's just whatever's in the pile. No, bell peppers are plains. The raspberries are forest. Sweet potatoes, I think, are plains. I don't know. I don't know. No. Nope. Nope, 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 nope. I just want to find my way out, pretty please. I want to find my way up. Up, finally. I'm gonna check this side though, because I would like XP. I like a deck. Pretty please. Ooh, you got a pretty design, bro. That might as well have been a backstab. And now we're out of bread again. Gotta break. They don't even get to spawn. Honestly, this is an empty room. They don't even get to spawn with me around. What I find hilarious, I don't like the running shoes, but I am a-okay with slowly upgrading to even more ridiculous speeds than the running shoes. Okay, I think now fine. Oh, hi. Hi, guys. How are we? There we go. I don't know why you guys are running, because this is not the top floor. I thought we were gonna go upstairs. We are still very much so underground. You're so trapped. You're not trapped. Food. I have food. No. No. I don't have water yet. You know what? Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Long-term wood source. No. I'm thinking we get above ground and use that to try and get ourselves some more food. And maybe a more long-term source of it. That'd be great. These dungeons are ridiculous. But I see another. That's a scorpion down there. That's another one. Why? Why did you feel the need to do that to me? Not cool. What's next? Giant snakes? Can you tell this Modpack was Skyrim inspired yet? I have no water. Oh. I hate the water. I'm getting rid of this so fast. As the first immediate change we're doing. Because I do not... This doesn't even really add... Oh, this is up. It doesn't even really add anything. It just makes this all the more frustrating and not even in a fun way. Nope. The empty room again. Lovely. I'm in Phantom mode when I don't need to be. Phantom mode plus sprinting is just horrible. It drains anything you could possibly have. We don't care about the other side. I just want to go up. I want to go above. I just want to go up. Let me go up. Let me go up. It's nighttime. I don't know where I am. I really don't know where I am. I put my bed down. There. My bed's below ground. So... What? What you? What are you? Heard that. I love being overpowered in my games. It's great. Especially when you earn. This is loud. Especially when you earn being overpowered. Granted, I'm doing... Bed. Bed. Love it. Okay. Keep that with. We do care about that. And I want to get my... Oh, wait. Actually, never mind. I don't care. I was about to say, I want Silk Touch so we can get campfires and keep campfires for when I get in cold biomes. But we're getting rid of this mod, so it doesn't even matter. And is there anything up here? It's just a ruin. It's just a ruin. It is just a ruin. Yeah. I want to jump off. I don't think... I can't make that. Never. Oh, I'm even speedy in water. Okay. So... let's continue our way towards the stronghold. And we'll handle things from there. Was that a crab? That's a crab. That's a crab. Oh, there's a skeleton. There's a cow. You. Lovely. You guys are so slow. Let's... Oh, there it is. Wool. Wool. Lovely wool. I do need to still sit down and smell all that rotten flesh. Sadly, the cows don't get the rib dump. The sheep will. Cows don't. Cows, I need everything they can possibly get. Ooh, big boy. I need to go more this way. Okay. The more I can avoid the water, the better. There are some good things in the water. This is 1,000 out. It's more than 1,000 out. I am slightly concerned, because I saw this problem before. They might have changed it, though. That none of the mobs are leveling. Let's sit down for a second and start smelting some things. Do that. And my computer's about to get real unhappy. Okay. Let's not waste too much of my food. Oop. Refill on water. Again. Oop. Bloop. And then 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Oop. Oop. And we'll have a nice full stack of leather. And let's also smelt up the raw gold I got. Do this. this. And I'm probably going to need to start organizing more in a minute here. But for now, that's enough. Food. Leather, 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 leather. That looks like it's just it. Okay. Oh, there's a lava pool back there. Didn't even notice that. I want to hit the stronghold because that usually has really good loot, and the stronghold is modded. And this modded stronghold also has a below section in the deep plate area that is a nether stronghold. There is a giant lava pool. It surrounds a nether portal that is unlit, fully ready to go. You just have to light it. So that's why I want to go out. It is the absolute perfect death for me. And it streamlines a lot of me slowly playing through this again. And then this is almost. Okay, while we're sitting here, let me start organizing just a wee bit. The reason we've been collecting wool, leather, and string, especially string because I can make wool out of it. With a piece of string, we're going to do 2 of these. Leather and wool on the outside. You can make a backpack. We're going to make 2 of these. And if you put the backpack back in the middle, you get a medium backpack. I didn't... I was trying to... I just wasted so much leather. I have a fair amount, but... We're going to turn one of these into a large backpack as well. So I can also show off. I don't have the wool to actually make a large backpack. Never mind. Don't listen to me. I thought I did, but I was making 4 3s, not 3 4s, unfortunately. The demonstration of that will have to wait. I need more wool. And then do that, and for the moment, I guess this. And slowly out to our destination. If we hit the stronghold and the mobs aren't leveled up, there's absolutely a problem. They could have changed the mod. Last I knew, once you hit 1,000, the mobs are leveled. But they might have changed it, because admittedly that makes the stronghold really difficult. This is a villager boat. Hey buddy, you got any food? I would love some food. You got any? You got some rock. Oh. Hi. Food. I'm breaking fishing. Food. I'm breaking fishing rod. More food. Lots of food. Thank you, man. Thank you. You know, I don't want a bunch of stuff dunking up my inventory. Let's just go with that. There we go. Lovely. Okay. Great. Thank you. Appreciate it. Have a good day. I almost want to start exploring. Ooh, that's a big cave. Oh, it's just a lush cave. That's a box. That's absolutely a structure. Stop filling up the water. Drink the water. Sorry. We're gonna see what that's about. That's absolutely a thing. Oh, I can't see anything. There's no way this isn't a thing. It's a water cave in a... Oh, suck. Never mind. Don't listen to me. We will go to that, though. If I'm quick enough. Which I believe I am. I could probably get away with killing all these spawners really quick. Nope. Get. No, get. There we go. Okay, love. That's another spawner. I didn't even know that one was there, actually. Okay, good, good. Lovely. Okay. And now the looty is all for us. Ring, yes, please. Wolf. Oh. Yep, yep. Diamond. Okay. And now we can continue the backpack demonstration. Let me take a little bit more string. Yeah, I'm in the safe spot. Okay. And while I'm doing this, let's let some of the food smelt. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Let's do this. Make my life easier. 2, 3. Ooh, beautiful. Okay. Okay. Ooh. We're gonna take a medium backpack. Medium backpack, 4 more leather, 4 more wool. So small backpack, it's like this. Medium backpack, like this. And large backpack is ridiculous. For the low, low price of 12 leather, 12 wool, and 1 piece of string. It's great, I love it. So how we're gonna do this is, I'm actually probably gonna... I don't know what we're gonna use the small backpack for. I think we have a just little amount of stuff. For the moment, the small backpack can be my looty. We're still early enough. I want to keep my iron with me, but we'll move it up here later on. And let's unmemorize all of that. Coal will stay down. We'll have another backpack for... I don't know what we're going to use the medium one for. I know I want to use this big one for just my miscellaneous stuff I don't know what to do with. And then use... I want to bring down. I didn't need... And then those like that, and that there, that there. That can go up there as well. And then memorize all of that, like so. Perfect. And I have a lot of XP I'm not using. Hold on. Cool, cool, cool. That already... We're doing great for like only an hour and 30 in. We've only played 5 days. Granted, I should probably sleep this so we can push it to 6. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. And there's the last of my coffee. I made a not so good batch of coffee. Now, what I used to do with my cold brew is I just add a little caramel and a little bit of creamer, and it was perfect. It was good to go. And I thought, I should try just putting the caramel in with the cold brew as the cold brew is going. No. No. It is now bean juiced. It is not good coffee. It just isn't. I don't know why. If I wanted a caramel coffee, I probably should have gone about adding the caramel after a day, like letting the cold brew sit for a day, so I could actually get the flavor. My voice is going. So I could actually get the flavor of the cold brew first. But I did not do that. And I probably won't try this again. We're on... Okay, day 6. I want to try, and every stream will hit through 10 days, and then call it from there. So we'll have something fresh and new to play next time. I feel like that's a pretty cool. When did I... Oh, do that. I don't have my compass down. There we go. Continue out this way. I am extremely worried about the mobs, actually. I am genuinely worried about that. I have no idea how bad or good they're gonna be. What is going on there? What? Okay. What? Okay, I guess. I mean, this is as good a spot as any to see. This is a spot I can see how bad they are. I'm pretty sure this is an enemy boat, is it not? Yeah, I see pillagers in there. You're still level 0. Come on. I can just barely not get in. I need one block down here in order to get back in. Ooh. Get in. Vindicator head's still broken. Lovely. I'll keep stuff in my inventory and we'll filter it to backpack in a moment. I'm low on hunger too. Oh my god! Crab. Food, good food. I should have just come from right here. How has he not noticed? There you go. I'm not too concerned immediately here. I'm a little worried the mod isn't working, but they could have changed it. I'm hoping it's now outside 1,000 blocks they start leveling up, because that seems a lot more fair. That seems just a lot more fair in terms of playing the game. Because it used to be absolutely horrible leaving spawn and you were kind of stuck there for a while. But if they changed it so they only start leveling up after you move away from that, that'd be fantastic. That'd be absolutely great. You know what? I will take flint steel. I do need that. Oh. Those again. Anybody else? Yes. Oh, I killed the parrot. Oh, I'm sorry. That sucked. I'm sorry about that. Genuinely. Change over to the fish. At least they're giving me a lot of food. That's really good. I am genuinely super appreciative of that. Oh. Oh dear. Well, there goes all that. Yeah, you guys are just... You guys are just slow. I'm gonna start picking up gunpowder as well for when I get rockets, because these are giving me a lot of gunpowder. And I'd much rather have it. Okay. Low water. Oops. So noted. Do not trust the ship. I just saw Illusioner murmurs underneath me. My VTuber's hiding it, but it is there. That That's great. I love that. Where is he hiding? I see these guys. I'm just... Oh. Yeah, you are very much close, though. Also, I appreciate that everybody understands the red bed supremacy. It is great. We love red beds. Also, Lucianer's at the other end of the ship. I can rest easy for a moment. Cool. This is seriously giving me a lot of loot. Okay, double checking for... Okay. No traps. We good. We're fine. Oh my god. Yeah, good thing I decided to start grabbing... Well, there I go. To start grabbing the gunpowder. Jeez. I just... Brain is overflowing. There's so much loot. There's another one, too. That's literally just a fish. Oh. Eat. No, eat food. Food. Lots of water. My Minecraft character drinks more water than I do in a day. Than I do in an hour. And that's not like a haha, I don't drink a lot of water. That's, I drink a lot of water, and my character's drinking more water than I do. Give me all of that. Thank you. This is an insane start. Oh, hi you two. I'm gonna steal this if you don't mind. I will leave you with a flint steel. Cool. Okay, I guess let's connect. Oh, hi, Illusioner. Oh. Well. Diamonds. I don't need that. Give me loot. I just want your loot. Dude, why milk bucket? I just want your loot. I don't care about nothing else. Not really. Loot. Oh my god, I'm not gonna need iron for the rest of this run. Oh my god. Okay, yes, absolutely go to these boats. Go to these ships. They're great. They're fantastic. I don't even remember what mod this is. I don't even know. I need to stop it. My problem is I'm still holding shift when I exit the chest. When I'm still holding shift when I exit the chest, which ain't too helpful. Low water, low food, I get it. We know. First world problems. Well, you suck. Oh my god. You know what? Just in case. We're gonna go set our bed. We're gonna set our bed real quick. Oh my god. And I'm not healing at all because I don't have any stupid water. Okay. Heal. 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 Please. Oh my god, you are so slow at healing. Please. Not even a... Wait, what time is it outside? I could probably sleep the night away. You may not rest now, there are monsters nearby. I wonder... This is where the first illusioner I went up against. Oop. Triggers when taking damage. Charm, totem of the illusioner. Okay. More water. More food. And I still haven't really killed him. Okay, good? Are we finally good? Not really. How long do I have to chug water before the game understands? I'm just gonna chug water until I'm healed. I don't need a bucket. Okay, fully healed. Apparently not. I'm gonna have thirst for a bit as well. Okay. I'm wasting so much doing this. Let's just go for it. Let's just do it. Let's just do it. I have my spawn point set. I'd rather not. There we go. And there's still another one over there. There's another boy right here. Rid of this. Nope, 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 nope. Grab that. Another one. I don't need great carpet. Another boy. Another boy. Okay. Get rid of you. Ooh. You are slow. See you. Was that it? That's it! Wonderful. Okay. Hi. That's a lot of totems. That's a lot of totems. And I have so much loot from all of this. Okay. That's great. And not to mention all the barrels. Oh my god. Oh. I have enough for like 9 stacks of rockets if I'm doing level 1. And still 3 stacks of rockets if I'm doing level 3. That's great. I love that. That's bloody fantastic. Oh, all of it. Except the bowl. All of it. And that's another new. We have 4 stacks of gunpowder now. Oop. Okay. Oh, nope. Okay. And now we can sleep. Just pop my head. Lovely. This is a beautiful spot for a ship, though. I'm I'm so used to being in phantom mode, I immediately tried to just walk straight through the ship. Y'all stand no chance against that. No. I don't want to hurt the Enderman. There we go. The only way that these guys stand a chance against me is if I'm thirsty, and that's the one thing keeping all of this balanced at the moment. I still do want to get rid of it, though. I still do. The thirst is not worth it. Sit under a tree for a moment. I'm nice and safe. And turn all this into lovely block. Well, I can make a lot of stuff, apparently. Lovely block. 27! I can make a whistle? Okay. I can make so much stuff. Okay. I think I'm gonna throw all this out of the small backpack and move just my looty to the medium backpack. Boop, 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 boop. That's there. I don't need it. Okay. I don't I don't think I need iron down here. I was thinking I still needed it, but I really don't. It's just something I always keep on me. Like all of this stuff I always keep on me. When in reality I just need this. All the totems. Oh my okay, let's change this memory. And then change that up there to this. And then adjust those. So then these are here. And then we have tools. And then bed. So all that's memorized. And then we got miscellaneous items. And I'm still rocking the cod, so I'll smelt beef when we get to the stronghold. And I'm already thirsty again. I'm just gonna sit and drink water till I heal. I think that's just the way to go. I really think it is. It's slow going, but it seems to actually legitimately work, and I hate that it does. This is working better than me just sitting and waiting to see which one I need to refill. Come on. Let me push that to proper 40. There we go. There we go, finally. Okay, and I am gonna throw those up there. Yep. And we're still going this way for another 300. I'm assuming it's in the ocean. You'll see it when we get there. You'll see it before we even make it there. I can promise you that. This all looks to be oceans. I can guarantee that. Because I'm pretty sure I got rid of the young stronghold, so it's the I think it's repurposed. I can't remember which mod it is. But there is a mod that has this stronghold, and yep, we're here. We're here! You will almost always see it go up to the surface like this. Yeah. And it doesn't spawn well either. Why is there an iron golem here? What? This is a... Oh. This is a different... I don't know why that's here. Something went wrong. Because why is there an iron golem, and why does it look like it tried to spawn in a village? It definitely tried to spawn in a village, so what happened? I'm gonna get rid of the terraforming smoothing mod. I like it, but I think it's ruining some generators. Oh. What level are your level? Okay, so they start leveling once you hit outside of a valley. Okay. I need to double check the mod then. Are they still level 50 when you hit the nether? Because that is really important to me. I need to know what my limitations are. Because I'm still assuming this is absolutely ridiculous, horrible, hard as hell to play. I didn't change the config, by the way. That is one thing I've been adamant about. I don't want to change the config. I feel like the difficulty of it has actually been really rewarding. It's AMRPG, by the way. Send it mobs. Mobs automatically scale based on factors like distance from spawn, send in levels they do not gain health, elemental affiliates of evolving like boss mobs with unique capabilities. subscription video is not able to play anymore. I'm checking the config then. I'm opening my folders. I'm checking the config. What? I didn't change it, so I'm assuming that's an update because I know at some point recently it updated. Configs. Okay. I can't read apparently. So 0 to 75 overworld, 50 to 100 nether, 100 to 200 end. So it is still that, yes. Okay, yes. It still is that. It just changed the range at which they start leveling up. So suddenly the stronghold is actually going to be way easy. 7 days in. So the stronghold itself is a lot easier to loot, and the overworld's a lot easier. But other things aren't. The nether still isn't. Changing dimensions will still suck. There we go, bed. It... I kinda want to go to bed. It's late. We're 2 hours in. I want to push to the 10, but it's day 7, so it's gonna be another hour before I can hit day 10. And my computer, I'm assuming you can actually hear that, is screaming at me for being, because there is actually a lot of spawners and a lot of mobs. Okay, if we're over here, I know. Honestly, I don't really want most of... I don't want most of the loot here. I don't really care for it. I just kind of wanted to check it out. Ooh, the library is useful, though. Library is very useful. Protection, flame, efficiency, berserk, end walk. I don't know what end walk is. It hasn't breaking either. What I care about is trying to get me some mending. I'm I do. I'm thinking I go to bed now and then we can have an even longer stream tomorrow. And I'll try and get this uploaded as soon as I can. Which, if I don't forget, is tomorrow morning. It'll be one of the first things I do. Next to post the short. Oh my god, so much of this is broken. So we need to remove already. Mental notes. We need to remove the leave. I will be closing off for tonight. My computer is screaming, and I want to let it rest because it is not happy with me running that. Is anybody I know streaming? Is that a yes? No. I finally fixed my Twitch widget, and it's actually telling me the people I'm following are. Okay. They'll probably find something. Okay. So definitely get rid of the smoothing mod and tough as nails. Those two mods aren't really worth keeping. The smoothing one seems to fuck up other things, and tough as nails just ain't fun. It's just not worth it at all. But let's go and see. Also, I love being on the screen, by the way. I'm usually against such brighter backgrounds, so you can't really see any of the little shading I did for the Mewtwo. Alright. Minecraft modded. Let's see who we'd like to raid. This is Zolka. That's why I can't hear them. I'm like, I have Twitch unmuted. I don't have my tab unmuted. I think we should raid them. Zopa o underscore oh wait. We're gonna go back to my stream and we're gonna go do that. We're gonna go raid them out. So thank you all for joining me. We're gonna go raid them, and if you'd like to check them out, it is Zolka ZL. Oh wait, let me paste it. ZOLKA underscore 08 0E8. We're gonna slash raid them. There we go. Raid has been created. Okay, we're heading over. So, thank you all for joining me. I'll see you in the next one. We stream weekend nights. I will be streaming tomorrow night, which is Saturday, the 13th of September. And then Sunday is just a whatever I want to do stream. So we're going to probably be playing Doronko Wanko is what I have queued up and what I want to play because that looks really fun. That's a free game on Steam. It's adorable. I completely forgot it existed and then I remembered it existed. So we're going to play that. And if I get bored of it really quickly, then I have Skyrim and House Flipper on queue. And if I get bored of those as well, then we can come back to this. But yeah, thank you all for joining me. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.